Right now, the Brooklyn Nets are sitting in one of the most unique positions in the entire NBA. They've essentially turned themselves into the league's official trade facilitator, the team that's willing to take on contracts, absorb salaries, and make deals happen. And for a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, that could be a golden opportunity. The Lakers are clearly in a position where they need to retool their roster. They want to remain competitive around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And to do that, they need flexibility. The Nets are offering just that. They're raising their hands saying, you need a third team? You need a salary dump partner? You need to move pieces around and stay under the tax? We got you. And the Lakers have to capitalize on this. Brooklyn's approach is pretty clear. They're not rushing to fill their roster with long-term contracts or lock themselves into a rigid identity. Instead, they're taking a much broader, asset-focused path. They didn't rush to re-sign guys like Darren Sharp or Zaire Williams because they're keeping their books open. They're collecting players, collecting contracts, and stacking assets. They know the real game is flexibility and optionality. And when you're looking to pull off a trade for someone like Andrew Wiggins, or maybe even a guy like Miles Bridges, you're probably going to need a third team to absorb someone like Gabe Vincent or Max Kleber. That's where Brooklyn steps in. This is not just speculation. Brooklyn has already been active in this kind of role. They took on Kobe Buffkin essentially for cash considerations. That tells you they're not demanding the moon for every deal. They're realistic. They're not just saying, give us a first-round pick or we walk. No, they're saying, we'll help you make the deal work, and we'll take a player off your hands if it fits our timeline and asset plan. And that's perfect for a team like the Lakers, who need that kind of flexibility. If you can move off a contract like Max Christie's by attaching a second-rounder, for example, the Nets might be the team that says yes. Because they know they'll eventually trim their roster. They'll have to, but in the process, they're building out one of the most versatile asset war chests in the league. The Nets are playing the long game. They're preparing themselves for that next big star to become available, whether that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, or someone else. When that time comes, they want to be the team with the picks, with the young players, with the expiring contracts, with the flexibility to strike. So everything they're doing right now, stacking players, taking on contracts, being that middleman in deals, it's all part of that larger vision. And the Lakers, with their long-standing relationship with the Nets, are in a position to benefit. Rob Pelinka and Sean Marks have worked together in the past. There's trust there. There's history. And that counts for a lot in the NBA, where relationships often dictate how deals come together. Let's not forget the Lakers are no strangers to working with teams like this. Think of Danny Ainge in Utah. There's always been talk about how Ainge hates the Lakers and would never do business with them. But if we're being honest, he's made more trades with the Lakers than most other front offices in recent years. The truth is, when the deal is right, the personal stuff goes out the window. Business is business. And the Nets are very much open for business. They have a clear plan, and part of that plan involves being the most useful third team in the NBA. That gives the Lakers a direct route to get creative, not just in shedding salary, but in building a better, deeper, more versatile roster. And we're not just talking about dumps. We're talking about actually getting talent back. Brooklyn has young guys they're going to need to move eventually. Their roster is overloaded. They'll likely be forced to buy out or waive close to a dozen players before the season starts. That opens the door for the Lakers to swoop in and grab some pieces that actually matter. Guys like Darren Sharp, Zaire Williams, Haywood Highsmith. These are players who may not be stars right now, but who fit exactly what the Lakers say they want to become. A franchise known for developing talent and turning role players into real contributors. You want to build a development pipeline? You need young, moldable players. And the Nets have a surplus. Even a guy like Nick Claxton could make sense in a Lakers uniform under the right circumstances. Sure, his contract is a bit much for a backup center right now, but it declines over time, and if DeAndre Ayton walks at some point, Claxton could slide into a bigger role. Plus, he's exactly the kind of player who could be part of a future blockbuster. Picture a situation where you're trying to trade for a megastar. Having contracts like Claxton's, along with players like Austin Reeves, give you the flexibility and the salary ballast to actually make a competitive offer. That's the kind of forward thinking the Lakers need if they want to stay relevant, not just this season, but for years to come. And let's circle back to Andrew Wiggins for a moment. If the Lakers really want to pull off a Wiggins trade, it's not going to be simple. You're likely looking at a 3-for-1 scenario. Maybe you send out RUI, HACHIMURA, Gabe Vincent, and someone like Jalen Hood-Schifino. That opens up 2 extra roster spots. So now what? You're under the minimum roster count. You need to fill those spots. Brooklyn, again, becomes the answer. Maybe you loop them in, and instead of just taking salary off your hands, they send you back 2 young guys on team-friendly deals. Maybe it's Darren Sharp and Zaire Williams. Or maybe they work a sign-and trade for someone like Haywood Highsmith. Now you've added Wiggins, you've upgraded the wing rotation, and you've filled out the roster without scrambling last minute or dipping into the veteran minimum market. You don't want to just trade to trade. That's not the goal. The Lakers need to be smart, methodical, but also aggressive when the opportunity is right. If the Nets are saying, hey, we'll help you move a contract, and we'll even throw in a couple of useful young players, you have to listen. That kind of deal doesn't come along every day. And this is where having a front office that understands timing and leverage becomes so crucial. The Lakers can't afford to sit on their hands while other teams get stronger. If you've got a chance to not only unload unwanted salary, but also bring in players who can contribute now and grow into bigger roles later, that's the definition of a win-win. And that's the bigger picture here. Brooklyn isn't just a dumping ground. They're a warehouse of opportunity. They've got veterans, young pieces, expiring deals, and a willingness to be involved in every kind of transaction. That's incredibly rare. And for a team like the Lakers, who are stuck in the middle of trying to win now, while also laying the groundwork for a future post-LeBron, that's the kind of partner you need. You're not just looking for someone to take on Gabe Vincent's contract. You're looking for someone who might help you build a deeper bench, who might send back a flyer on a former lottery pick, who might let you swap second-rounders just to get a look at a developmental big man. That's what Brooklyn can offer, and no one else is offering it quite like they are. The reality is, this is the window. The Nets can't carry all these players into the regular season. They're going to need to cut or trade at least 8 to 10 guys. That gives the Lakers a chance to step in with a reasonable offer and pick off some real talent before other teams even realize what's happening. Maybe it's someone like Drew Timm, not a star, but a guy who brings toughness and energy and could fit into a second-unit role. Maybe it's a guy like Jamie Jaquez Jr., if somehow a trade scenario opens up where he's available again. The point is, the options are there, and they're real. If the Lakers can approach this moment with a clear plan, using the Nets not just as a third team in name, but as an actual source of useful players, they can upgrade this roster in a meaningful way. Not just on paper, but on the court. The names mentioned, Wiggins, Claxton, Sharp, Highsmith, Williams, they're all players who could either contribute now or grow into real assets later. And if the Lakers want to become the kind of organization that develops talent instead of always chasing it, this is how you start. You get in early. You take the flyers. You trust your development system. And you use your relationships, like the one with Brooklyn, to stay one step ahead. Another angle the Lakers absolutely need to consider is how to smartly build out their depth while navigating the complexities of the current collective bargaining agreement. This is not the same NBA from 5 or 10 years ago. Roster construction has become far more strategic, and now more than ever, every dollar, every contract, every spot on a roster counts. You cannot afford to swing and miss on deals or to carry dead weight. And that's why working with a team like Brooklyn, who not only has cap space flexibility, but also a massive surplus of movable pieces, becomes more than just a luxury. It becomes a necessity. The Lakers, realistically, are not going to pull off some earth-shattering blockbuster out of nowhere. But what they can do is stack a few well-constructed moves that elevate the floor and ceiling of their team without mortgaging their future. Let's say the Andrew Wiggins deal is the centerpiece. That move alone is not going to be enough unless it's part of a wider plan to balance out the depth and fill the gaps that will be created. Because again, you send out 2 or 3 players in that deal, Vincent, Ray, Jachis, maybe even Max Christie or someone else, depending on how the contracts line up, you're left shorthanded. Now you've got a top-heavy rotation with fewer bench options, and that's where the strategy kicks in. That's where Brooklyn re-enters the conversation, not as a salary dump site, but as a low-risk, high-reward development partner. You go to them and say, Look, we'll include you as a third team. Take this contract off our hands and send us back two guys on small deals who can immediately compete for minutes. This approach is more than just a trade strategy. It's a vision for how to balance short-term needs with long-term planning. It's about having the foresight to know that in this league, having a few cheap, functional, hungry role players on the back end of your rotation can be the difference between flaming out in the first round or pushing deep into May and June. The Lakers need wings. They need athleticism. They need young legs who can switch, rebound, run the floor, and hit open shots. Brooklyn, again, is sitting on a pile of guys like that. Most of them may not be proven yet, but that's the point. They're available, they're affordable, and they could develop into real contributors. And you know what? Sometimes all a guy needs is a fresh opportunity. The Lakers have seen this firsthand. Look at what happened with players like Austin Reeves. Undrafted, came in, worked hard, and now he's a core piece of the roster. That should be the blueprint moving forward. You don't need to trade for a bunch of names. You need to find the right fits. Guys who can grow within your system. Guys who play with effort, understand their role, and buy into what you're building. The Nets have several players who could be that next version of Austin Reeves. Guys who just need the right environment to take that leap. Even someone like Haywood Highsmith brings tremendous value in that sense. He's a strong wing defender, can guard multiple positions, and while he's not lighting up the scoreboard, his impact shows up in the intangibles. That's exactly the type of piece the Lakers have lacked on the margins. You add someone like that to play next to LeBron and AD, and suddenly the defensive floor of the team rises dramatically. Now you're not scrambling to find someone to throw at the opposing team's best wing scorer every night. And the best part? You can get someone like that for relatively low cost, a second-round pick, maybe a pick swap, maybe just part of a larger deal where you're offloading an extra contract. There's also a scenario where a guy like Darren Sharp becomes extremely valuable as a backup five. The Lakers don't know what the long-term plan is with DeAndre Ayton. And Christian Wood, let's be honest, has not proven he can be relied upon over the course of a full season. So having a young, energetic big who can rebound, run, and finish around the rim might not just be a luxury. It could be a necessity come playoff time. Sharp has had flashes in Brooklyn. Put him in the Lakers system. Let him learn behind AD. Give him the minutes when matchups call for size and physicality, and see what he becomes. Again, low risk, potentially high reward. All of this ties into the larger question of how the Lakers can evolve into a true player development organization. They've talked about it. They've said all the right things. But it's time to take that next step. You don't become a development powerhouse by only drafting late and hoping for the best. You have to go out and get guys. Bring them in. Mold them. Invest in their growth. And that means targeting situations exactly like what Brooklyn is dealing with right now. An overflow of youth, a bottleneck of contracts, and a front office willing to wheel and deal. This is how you build sustainable success in the new NBA. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, whispers are swirling out of Los Angeles, where tension inside the Lakers practice facility has reportedly spilled into the open. According to people close to the team, RUI HACHIMURA and rookie guard Bronny James were involved in a heated exchange during a training session that went far beyond the usual competitive edge of NBA practices. What began as a disagreement in a scrimmage allegedly escalated into shouting, physical posturing, and ultimately, intervention by coaches and staff. The fallout, if true, is already dramatic. Both players have been temporarily removed from team activities while the franchise assesses the situation. For the Lakers, a roster perpetually under the microscope, the incident comes at a delicate moment. HACHIMURA, seen as a versatile forward capable of bridging gaps in the lineup, had been expected to take on an expanded role this season. Bronny James, meanwhile, has carried perhaps the most unique pressure of any newcomer in league history, his every move magnified, not just by being a rookie, but by being LeBron James' son. Sources suggest that this backdrop of expectation and scrutiny may have fueled the confrontation, with both players eager to assert themselves in a crowded locker room. The Lakers have not issued an official comment, which only adds fuel to the fire of speculation. Fans on social media are already dissecting the rumor, debating whether this is a minor flare-up or a sign of deeper chemistry issues. For a team with championship ambitions, harmony is as important as talent, and even whispers of discord can rattle confidence. Yet, others argue that clashes in practice are often overblown, part of the fiery competitiveness that drives professional athletes to excel. What remains unclear is how quickly the situation will be resolved. Will this be remembered as a brief spark that galvanized the Lakers, or as the first crack in a fragile foundation? Until the team addresses the matter, the rumor mill will keep churning, and every sidelong glance in practice will be scrutinized as a clue. In Los Angeles, where drama often feels inseparable from basketball, the latest chapter may just be beginning. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.